So like it was like our first like probably month that we were dating, and we're out and about. I'm sitting there and I'm walking, me and her are walking, and you know it's a lot of people and that, and everybody's like, oh my God, Ciara, it's Ciara. And all of a sudden, like this girl was like, her bodyguard's really hot, and Ciara starts laughing. She goes, oh, thanks for being my bodyguard today.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Not Just Football with Cam Heyward. We are joined today by Super Bowl winner, now Pittsburgh Steeler, quarterback, Russell Wilson. Thank you so much for coming.
Man, I appreciate you guys, man. We're sitting here in Latrobe, and it's a beautiful night out, man. Just good to hang out with you, bro.
Man, I can't believe we got you.
I can't believe
you came
Come on. As soon as you asked me, I was like, let's do it.
I know. Okay, so we'll start off with this easy one. Who's more talented, you or Ciara?
Oh, man. Ciara, the way she moves, the dancing, and she's athletic. She's a track star. You know, she's pretty. I can't move like her. You know what I'm saying? But maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not supposed to. Maybe I'm not supposed to. I'll hop into TikTok every once in a while. I do it like once every year, maybe once every 2 years. But
before I move on with that, I got to make sure I shout this out. Josh Cashman, our editor.
Oh, I love Josh. Josh is y'all's editor?
Yes.
Okay, crazy story about Josh. Has he told you?
No, he hasn't.
Okay, so Josh, obviously I played in Seattle, as you know. We played in Seattle, and this kid was, some kid was, like, his name was, like, Cashman or something on Twitter, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And anyways, he was blowing up. Everything he released was, like, 30,000 likes, 50,000, which is a lot of likes on Twitter, right? Yeah. It's, like, just off-the-chart numbers.
Yeah.
So anyways... So this Cashman kid keeps calling me out. He's like a huge fan. He's like, hey, he wants to play like Mario Kart Brothers or something like that with me. And I'm like, all right, I don't play video games, to be honest with you. But I'm like, all right, let's do it. So I invite him to the office. I had an office in Seattle. He comes to the office. And anyways, this Twitter phenom, blowing up a Seahawks fan, everything else comes in. We're battling, having a good time. And I'm like, as we're playing, I'm like, hey, so what do you do for a living, whatever. He's like, well, I don't really have a job or anything like that. I'm trying to make money, but really I'm a college kid just trying to make it, trying to pay my college bills. So fast forward, I'm playing against him, and we're vibing. He's a cool dude, and we're laughing, having a good time. He's a huge Seahawks fan, like I said, and I'm like, you want a job? And he's like, wait, what? I said, you want to come work for me? And I said, you can come work for me. I said, I know you got, what's your schedule? Like, what's your school schedule? He told me that certain days he had school and everything else. And he said, listen, I'll come up, and I said, if you can come up and drive up to Seattle, I'll make sure I pay you, and I'll take care of you, so you can start paying off the college bills. So fast forward, okay. So Cashman helps me blow up some of my social. Dude's crushing it.
He's working for me.
Yeah, and so then COVID hits, and I'm like, okay. I want to make sure that you continue to excel. And I'm like, hey, go do what you want to do, man. Like, if you want to go to LA, like, take a chance. And he's like, I think I want to go to LA. This and that. I didn't know what was going on in the world. And I'm like, go take a shot. And sure enough, he did. And he's doing your podcast. He's doing, I think he did something with Shaq.
Yeah.
Like, this dude, man.
Josh is the guy right now.
This is crazy. So, small world. Cashman,
Small world.
You're my brother for life. And I'm grateful for you, man. I did not know this. So.
Yes. Crazy. Small world.
Yeah.
Back to Ciara. How competitive are you two?
Oh, super competitive. I think I'm definitely, we're both equally competitive, but I'm probably more of an asshole about it.
Are you?
Just a little bit, like I got a little.
You got to rub it in.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? I got a little bit of that in me, but no, C is super competitive. She loves winning.
What's the one thing she beats you in?
Well, any dance move. That for sure. I mean, you know what she's really good at?
Yeah.
I don't know if she beats me all the time, but we love playing each other, playing other people, is we're really good at pickleball. So I know if you and your wife want to play pickleball against us,
pickleball
we're ready.
Squad.
We're ready. Let me know.
Okay.
But yeah, so we'll compete
enter you
in
some tournaments.
Yeah.
Some local Pittsburgh tournaments. How about that?
Yeah, do it.
After the Super Bowl, hopefully.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. Good answer.
Favorite Ciara song before you were married and favorite Ciara song after you were married?
Easy Ride.
There you go. There you go.
Great video. Kids do not watch. After, I would say Level Up. I mean, C was pregnant. She was trying to decide what she wanted to do with a label. And, traditional labels and everything else, they kind of run a lot of things for you and everything else. And I remember we sat we were sitting there talking about what she wanted to do, and we were like, hey, let's go for this independent thing, build your own. Yeah. And we looked up stuff. I remember us researching. We were in LA at the time, researching famous people with famous artists with their own independent labels and everything else. And Ciara wanted to build her own, so we talked about how to do it and everything else, and she did it. And then next thing you know, she dropped Level Up. It was a massive song. She flew all the way to New Zealand to shoot it. Just got up and said, let's go, and found all the dancers, put this whole thing together. Boom. Damn. One of the biggest songs she's ever done. So awesome. She's got a lot of great songs that I love, but I'm just proud of that one because she took a chance on herself. And I think anytime somebody takes a chance on themselves and takes risk, it's a great example. And I think it shows our kids to take risk, challenges and obstacles, and go against the grain sometimes. And I think that she does that all the time.
Speaking of taking chances, let's go back. You're in college, playing for NC State.
Yep.
How the hell do you wind up at Wisconsin? That is a chance in itself.
Yeah, well,
it's a good move, man.
Yeah, I was playing both sports at NC State, and at the time, it was a blessing because my dad was really sick. I got to NC State, my dad got really sick, and my first week of school, he had diabetes, and my first week of school, his legs swelled up, and he had to get his leg amputated, and it was a tough time because I was trying to make the football team. I was the fifth quarterback basically on the roster, trying to make the team and trying to do all this stuff. At the same time, I also was playing football and baseball. Had to go compete for the starting job and all these different things. And my dad was on his deathbed essentially because his prosthetic leg fell off, hit his head on the corner of a marble table. He was in a coma for 3.5 weeks. Crazy story. My mom starts singing a song "All by Grace" to him in his ear, and next thing you know, my dad wakes up out of it. And that's when I really started believing and taking chances and miracles and all that stuff. And so fast forward, I went to NC State. The blessing was I was driving, Cam, every Thursday night back when my dad was in the hospital, Thursday nights on the low key to see my dad in the hospital sometimes. And a lot of times what I would do is come back early in the mornings. And so the fact that my dad was close to NC State and he was only 2.5 hours away meant a lot to me. Well, when he passed away, it was a challenge because I just got drafted in baseball June 8th, 2010. The next day, June 9th, 2010, my dad passed away. And so it was the highest of the highs, the lowest of the lows of my life within 24 hours. And that's when decisions kind of started happening for me. I had to become a grown man and kind of figure out, okay, where's life going to take me? And fast forward, I played my last year at football at NC State that following football season, played well, won the bowl game, played West Virginia, and then I had to go to big league spring training. And so I went to big league spring training, had a great time, was with the Colorado Rockies organization. And I remember, being around some big leaguers like Cargo and Tulowitzki and these guys and Todd Helton and being in the locker room. I felt like baseball was going to be the direction I was going to go at the time. Yeah. And I just remember waking up. It was April 27th of 2011. I remember waking up and I was in Rome, Georgia, playing for, it's a crazy story, but I was playing Rome, Georgia, playing for the Colorado Rockies organization, the Asheville Tourists. And I remember waking up in a Holiday Inn and calling my football coach and saying, "Hey, coach, I'm coming back." And he said, "No." And he said, "No, you're not." And I said, "What do you mean I'm not coming back?" He said, "No, you're not. You're not coming back. You need to just focus on baseball. We're going with Mike Glennon. We're going with somebody else." And I said, "Well, I want to come back for my senior year." He said, "No, you're not. You're not coming back. This and that." So I said, "Okay, why? Do you not want me to compete for the starting job?" He said, "No, you no matter what I do, I can't win the starting job." He said, "No." So then fast forward, I said, "Okay, I want my transfer papers." That was that day. At 7:30 a.m. I never forget. I was on the third floor of the Holiday Inn. I think it was a Holiday Inn Express, to be funny. Oh. And I'm sitting there in Rome, Georgia, and I remember it was about 8 o'clock, and I hung up the phone saying, "Okay, I'm going to need my transfer papers." Well, a couple months before that, my agent, Mark Rogers, had said there's a loophole in the NCAA that if you graduate early, no player's really ever done this before, but if you graduate early, you can transfer to go to any school. And he just mentioned that to me. Well, when he told me that he didn't want to come back, I said, "Okay, I need my transfer papers." And then fast forward, I said, "Okay, all right, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to take this risk." I go hit BP, 4 o'clock. I'm in the first hitting group. By 4:15, the ESPN breaking news, Russell Wilson's transferring, comes in. I have a call. My first call is from Auburn Tigers. And I'm sitting in my locker, and I'm like, who's calling me right now? It's an Alabama number. I pick up the phone, and I just miss it, the message. I go listen to the message, and it's like, "Hey, call me back." So I'm like, call me back. I'm like, who is this? So fast forward, I call the number back. I'm sweating as hot as heck. It's Rome, Georgia. It's like 103 degrees.
Georgia will do
and I'm like, hello? And he's like, this is Gene Chiswick from the Auburn Tigers. And I'm like, okay, coach, how you doing? He goes, hey, I hope I'm your first call because I want you to know that Auburn Tigers, we want you to be the next quarterback of the Auburn Tigers, and we think you can win the Heisman Trophy and win the national championship here. And I'm like, this is awesome. That's my first call. And then the phone just kept ringing. So then I had like 30.
And you went to Wisconsin?
So I had 30 teams looking at it, and I looked at it, and I was like, okay, my brother did a pros and cons sheet with me. And I really kind of narrowed it down to between two schools.
Who were the schools?
Auburn and Wisconsin. And the reason why Auburn was interesting because they threw the ball a lot. They were spread out, all this kind of stuff. And Cam Newton had just won the Heisman Trophy there. And then fast forward, Wisconsin was interesting because, one, they had a really good offense. I mean, our offensive line.
They run the ball.
Well,
they run the ball.
Their offense, check this out. They had Ricky Wagner at left tackle. They had Travis Frederick at left guard. Peter Kahns at center. They had Zeitler at right guard. And they had Havenstein as a right tackle who's now playing league. And then Oglesby was the other guy, too. So they had a lot of good guys. And Nick Toon was the receiver. Abadaris. We had 3-star running backs. We had Monty Ball, James White, and Melvin Gordon. And I'm looking at the roster, and I'm like, And my dad used to always tell me, I was young, I was about 7, 8 years old, hey, son, you need to check out this school. You know, Wisconsin, I'm from Virginia. He's like, you need to check out this school, Wisconsin. You'll love it. There's this guy named Barry Alvarez up there. He's a Hall of Fame coach. And I'm like, I don't even know where Wisconsin is on the map. Fast forward, just amazing how God works. I go visit, I meet with all these guys, Brady, all these pro mentality guys. I loved it. Paul Chris was the offensive coordinator. Brett Bielema was the head coach. I fell in love with it. And I go to dinner with my brother. And my brother was living in Chicago. And I'm sitting down having dinner. I'd already visited Auburn, and now I'm visiting. I only had like 2 off days because I was playing pro baseball at the time. And so at the time, as I sit down at dinner with my brother kind of looks at me and smirks, and he says, you know what today is, right? And I said, no, what's today? And, he goes, you don't know what today is? I'm like, I'm trying to look at the clock. And he goes, today's the day that Dad passed away a year ago. And that's when I knew that I needed to go there. That's when I knew, besides meeting all my teammates and the great guys and the coaches and Wisconsin football, Camp Randall, everything else, that moment I knew that was where I was supposed to be, where my feet were. And I had been traveling so much for baseball. I'd been so busy trying to figure out, okay, where does life take you? And I've been praying about it, thinking about it, crying about it, thinking through it. There was, it's a blessing and a curse to be able to play both sports because what do you decide as a young kid? I was a 5'11", black kid from Richmond, Virginia. There weren't that many 5'11" quarterbacks in the league besides Drew Brees, who was 6 foot. Michael Vick was before then. And really that was it at the time. And there weren't many African-American quarterbacks. And then the baseball, I was a prototypical second baseman shortstop. I was bigger, I was fast, all that. So I had this tough decision to make. And I was, I need to take this chance because of that. And sure enough, I did. Man, it was the best 6 months of my life. It was That's
the case. I would have got you. I would have called you at Ohio State.
Oh, get out of here.
Hey, I didn't know that. Shoot.
And so it just worked out. And, now it's going to be my 13th year playing ball, man. So it's a blessing.
We talk about gifts and curses. You've had the gift of playing in 2 Super Bowls, winning one, losing one. Let's go with the high first. Winning that first Super Bowl in Seattle, how special was that, and what do you remember about that journey?
I just remember it was my second year. It was we were so locked in as a team. We had so much edge. Obviously, Legion of Boom, guys like Richard and Cam and Brandon Brown and Earl. These guys were dominant every day at practice. I mean, how they locked in every day, going against them just made me better and better and better. Guys like Bobby Wagner, who was the heart and soul, the center of that defense, young with me as well, and just was consistent every day in his approach. We had defensive linemen. We had the rotation of guys from Clemens to Mebane and just Michael Bennett and Cliff Averill, just guys rushing the passer and just guys that were so dedicated, through those years, of time. And I think we just had a blast, man. We worked our butts off. We were a little bit crazy too. I think you got to have that, You got to be obsessed with the job. Yeah, you got to be obsessed with the task. And I think
winning that Super Bowl, what was it like?
I think the best thing about it was we knew when we walked off the bus, we were going to win every game. We literally
Y'all shocked the world. I'll say that there.
We knew every time we stepped off the bus that we were better than everybody else. That's how we felt. We felt that we were more physical, that we were going to be explosive in offense. We felt like our defense was going to get us the ball, and do things. And just when the game was on the line, we felt like we were going to make plays. And sure enough, we did. And I think going to that Super Bowl was in New York City, MetLife, and it was supposed to be snowing like crazy that night.
Yes, I do remember that.
And we were like worried that it was going to snow like crazy because obviously Denver, from being from there, they're used to snow and all that, and Peyton and everything else. But sure enough, it didn't.
Yeah.
And I just remember the best part. Besides holding the trophy, obviously winning, and pouring the Gatorade on Coach. The one of my favorite memories is actually walking out for the coin toss. I go out for the coin toss, and I'm walking across, and we're going out, and Heath Farwell's with me, and Big Red Brian. We're going out, and walking across is Peyton Manning, Champ Bailey. I'm trying to remember who else. I think maybe DeMarcus Ware. I'm trying to remember who else they had coming out. Yeah, I think DeMarcus Ware's on that other side, and they're all coming out, and these guys that I've always looked up to and watched over the years. And there's this guy in a mink coat. I'm like, who the hell is that? Like, it's far away. I'm like, the mink coat walking out with him. And so anyway, so I get out to the coin toss, and the referee's like, hey, we got welcome to the Super Bowl 48. We got we got the AFC champions, the Denver Broncos. We got the NFC champions, the Seattle Seahawks. Everybody's going crazy, and the lights are flashing. That thing you see on TV when you're a young kid, and the refs like, well, guys, we have a privilege now. We got the one and only Joe Namath here. And I'm like, this is Joe Namath, mean coach Joe, and sure enough, he's like, he's got the honors to do the coin toss, and he takes the coin and flips the coin. And I'm calling it, right? He just grabs the coin and flips it. And the ref grabs it midair. He goes, whoa, Joe. You gotta let it go heads or tails. And he looks at me and goes, hey, Wilson, I always had a quick release, and winks at me. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing. So, I think those memories, those things, just celebrating, knowing that hard work pays off.
Yeah. And now we got to talk about, I know it's tough to talk about because I can imagine losing the Super Bowl. Losing that Super Bowl to New England, what was that like? What do you remember?
I think it's a challenging thing to lose when you've gotten that far. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that even the game we were up and they come back late, and I'm like, okay, we got 2:01 on the clock. We live for these moments. I live for these moments. Like, here we go, let's go win it. First play, actually, give Marshawn a double move. He makes a play down the field. I throw it to him. He runs like a sluggo. Boom, catch. A couple plays later, boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, obviously the ball tipped and make the play. And then the next play we run 19-week run to the left or whatever, and gets tackled right at the 1 yard line or whatever. And obviously you guys know what happens next. That it's really the cover zero answer, and they were showing that, and it didn't work. But I think the hardest part is, you feel like you let people down, and you let people down. You feel like it's all on you all the time. And but also, too, I think the part that you grow the most is through the valley.
Yeah.
When you go back in the locker room, and sometimes, you feel that lonely space, and you have certain guys that come up to you, and guys like Robert Turbin, guys like, certain guys that I was close with, they show you the love and everything else. And despite all that, I think that, the hardest part is knowing that you didn't get to win the second one. Winning is everything. It's everything I think about. It's everything I ever want to do, and never really cared how we do it. I just love winning. I'll go make a block for a guy. I'll do whatever, and it just didn't work, And
yeah.
I think, though, what I learned from it, more than anything else, is that people will love you one day and they'll hate you the next.
Yeah.
And Jay-Z says it best: they'll love you and then they'll hate you and they'll love you again. And I think that
they love you again.
I think that part of it is that you have to be really balanced in your faith. Mm-hmm. I remember waking up the next morning and being like, okay, God, you know what? And I remember this when my dad passed away. When my dad passed away, it was the hardest moment of my life. And the next day, I remember waking up and I had to go to CVS or something, and I was like, man, I was struggling, and I just remember just kind of like, I feel like God was speaking to me, say, you know what, the sun still comes up in the morning. And I remember waking up the next day after we didn't win, and I remember just saying, you know, to myself, the sun still comes up in the morning.
Yeah.
And I think that you have to make a decision. You know, how are you going to, you know, I was young, it's third year in my NFL, you know, how are you going to decide how the rest of your career goes, and how are you going to elevate, and how are you going to grow, and how are you going to learn, and how are you going to overcome, and knowing that it's going to be obstacles in the way. And so coming back from that year, we started off slow the next season, and I just felt like, you know, I got to put my head down and block out any noise and just get hot.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we did. Got hot, and I just felt like, you know, from a quarterback position, I got better and better and better, and learned a lot. You know, overcame obstacles, and that's what life's about. And I think that a lot of times, you know, you go through those things. But I think the best moment that I've had in recent years was going back to see Pete.
Yeah.
You know, and we've always been really close, me and Coach Carroll. And just when he got let go from the Seahawks, I went back to see him, and I got to see a lot of the guys, you know, Sherman, Bobby, and DK, and these guys that I'm really close with, especially, you know, DK is one of my close. I talk to him all the time, every week probably, and guys like Bobby, and but, you know, guys like Doug Baldwin, just different guys I got to see, and we just fellowshipped over football and life and seeing kids, and that's just what life's about. And so, but my mindset right now is I still got a lot more ball left in me. Yeah. We got more Super Bowls to win, and
Very
you know
true.
what? You can't look back. You got to look forward. You got to look in the moment, and we got a great team here. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, it's funny, like, you know, I brought up, like, your lows, and, like, I've talked to, like, a lot of Steeler players. You know, I think it was like they won the first two Super Bowls, and then they always thought, like, they're always going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And they said through that loss, you just start to understand the NFL mortality of it, and understand that, like, man, I'm not guaranteed at this.
Yeah.
I'm not guaranteed to go to the Super Bowl every year. And so to watch you continue to just keep battling back and continue to just keep putting out, you know, good performance after good performance while being a good human, you know, that's a story in itself.
Yeah,
And
I think that it's just that's where faith comes in. Like I said, I think that just trusting in God, that, you know what, God, you're going to take me through every peak and every valley, and you're going to be with me through it all. Mm-hmm. And just waking up thankful every day, having gratitude at the forefront of your heart, knowing that, you know, God, you chose me for this. You chose me to be here doing what I get to do. One of 32 guys in the world every day. Like, I'm gonna worship you. I'm gonna praise you through it all, and I'm not gonna let up on it. Mm-hmm. And some people will love it, some people won't. But you know what, God, like, you love me, you care for me, and just I think thinking about that constantly, and you know, you have to know that it's gonna be obstacles on the way.
You talked about Pete Carroll. Is there any similarities between him and Mike T?
Yeah, I would say there's definitely some similarities. I think both of them love winning, obviously, but how they do it, how they teach it, the inspiration every day. You know.
Yeah.
You know, Coach Carroll would always, you know, have motivational things, inspirational things, would have ways to get there too, and have different people come in and this and that. Obviously, Coach Tomlin, I think his ability
to be blunt.
I mean, to be really blunt, but also to be. He sees it all.
Yeah.
I mean, he sees it all from just – and Coach Carroll was all like that way. But Mike has this interesting dynamic where he's sitting on the back porch with us here in Latrobe, you know, sitting, and he's telling me his story about how he grew up and how it relates to, you know, me as a father and you know, our son and this and that, and just the things that he understands and processes. I think his motivational, how he walks in a room, he's got a certain swagger, and so both of them are amazing coaches, and I've just been blessed to be obviously play under Coach Carroll, but now playing with Coach Tomlin, it's an amazing honor and treat to be able to take notes every day of him, you know, and learn from him, and obviously being around guys like you, TJ, some of the greatest to do it in this game. I learn a lot from just observing and hearing, and that's been a blessing.
You don't have to go too far into Denver, but talk about, you know, you're in Denver and then you get cut. How was that free agency process?
Yeah, well, obviously Denver didn't go the way that, you know, I hoped and prayed for and everything else. But you know what? Sometimes it does, in the sense that God moves you and puts you in somewhere new, brand new. And he puts you in a place that's, you know, a fresh start. And I think for me, it was, as soon as I got released from Denver, teams started calling, and it was one of those things, okay, like, time to play ball, you know, kind of thing. And I remember the Steelers were actually one of the first teams. And I was really excited because I had always admired Coach Tomlin. I admired you. I admired TJ. I admired the players that on this team, and I admired the organization. I admired the history of it all. I'm a football buff, and I love just ball. And I grew up on the East Coast. So I saw the black and yellow play all the time. I knew actually Troy Polamalu some because he lives in San Diego.
Yeah.
And just I kind of saw the tradition of the game. Franco Harris and just these guys that were. All the time. Ben Roethlisberger. I grew up watching him as a young kid. And, so there was these legends. I remember watching Terry Bradshaw, not watching him play necessarily, but I remember being on the stage with him when I went to the Super Bowl, and he was giving me advice of how to go win it. And just these moments of time, and I was just like, how does this all correlate?
What did Terry say to you?
Well,
I got to figure out what Terry was
I
saying.
remember being on stage and just talking to him, and he just said, keep the guys focused. Don't. You haven't done it yet. Basically he was telling me. But I think that a big part of it is, the history of the game here is really spectacular, the Roonies and everything else. But I was gravitated towards the level of detail in winning. I think that when any team has won as much as this team has won over the years, and there's more winning to do, but the consistency of it, I think consistency is evident. I think that's really important to watch it when an organization has won for 7, 8, 9, 10 plus years. I think it's 17 now, whatever it has been. I mean, that in itself is interesting. Then there's just the small amount of head coaches they've had. I think the players. And then I got to talk to you. I remember
what was the recruiting?
Recruiting
he
was.
fancies himself.
Listen.
Recruiter.
We didn't go on a date. We didn't go on a date, but we had a FaceTime date.
No Napa Prime, no Wagyu.
No, I FaceTimed him for like 2 hours.
We literally FaceTimed for 2 hours,
Yeah.
and I remember just getting off that call, and I looked at C. I said, "This is where I'm going."
Well, I remember I didn't sugar. I was like, bro, we go to Latrobe. Like, this is like we practice like gladiators. It's not like, oh yeah, you got like a Miss fan here. No, it's like we about to get it out of the mud.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that about football. I mean, anybody who knows me, I'm obsessed with the game, and just I love the detail of it. I love practice. I love, and then so I got to talk to you. I was like, this is where I'm going. And then I got to talk to TJ and Minka. And
What did TJ and Minka say? I want to know.
Minka's in his car. He's whipping around. He's in like Miami or whatever he's at. And he's like, hey, 3, you like to compete? I said, man, you already know me. Come on, man. And he's like, all right, because we go talk that stuff. And I said, all right, let's get it. And so we were laughing, having a good time. And just that part of it was cool.
Yeah.
He was chill, everything else. And then TJ and I we obviously played at Wisconsin, and we knew of each other, gone against each other, the respect there and everything else, the love for Wisconsin alone. But I think that a big part of it was he really wants to win. You really want to win. Like, not just like, yeah, of course we want to win. Everybody wants to win. But what are we going to do to get there? How does it look? There's a process there. There's a thought process. And I think the leadership here was exciting for me, exciting to just be a part of it and just come in and just, help us win and help us find a way to do what we all desire, and that's to hold the trophy. And that's my mission every day we wake up.
Okay, I'm going to have some fun with this. TJ Watt, great player, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oversized ego. And so... we joke in meetings all the time, and he talks about he played quarterback at one time. You've heard that, right?
I've heard this, yes.
He thinks he could go back in high school right now, what he knows, go to Texas, play quarterback, and win a state championship. Is that possible?
If he's running the ball, who's going to tackle him? But, I haven't seen him throw. I think I actually saw him throw the other day.
And what'd you think?
Yeah, I don't know if he's winning in Texas. Maybe New Hampshire.
Yeah,
maybe,
you said Wisconsin too.
Maybe,
Wisconsin probably.
Yeah,
New Hampshire.
I'm just.
You went New Hampshire.
Small state. Nothing against New Hampshire. But it's a smaller state. There's less quarterbacks. But I don't know. Texas is like a lot of great quarterbacks out of Texas. California. There's some good ones out of Virginia. But I'm just saying, like, Texas.
He went for it.
Yeah. But I don't know if they're tackling him. I still think you guys need to come on offensive side and get a fullback at 0 and just run downhill.
I still
think we need to line TJ outside and do a little tight end, signal him and just go make a play.
Especially like what they used
I
to
asked
do
you
with
guys that the other day.
JJ.
I asked you guys that the other day.
I
At the
do
game.
it.
I asked you
It's-
at the game.
Well, you ran the ball once on a kickoff and were told never again, though, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, we were playing Baltimore, and I was on kickoff return, and they kicked it right to me, and I ran. I was
And
like,
what
"This is
happened?
my."
And what happened?
I got 11 yards.
Okay, 11 yards. We just need 2.
Yeah.
We just need 2 1-yards at the goal line. Let's go.
Exactly.
We
So
need to.
I can make somebody miss.
We don't need you to make anybody miss. We need you to run through somebody.
I'm gonna do
You're
both.
We
not-
don't want you
How
to make
about
anybody
pop?
miss.
No.
I don't think you're going to make anybody. I don't think if you got the ball, I don't think you're going to make me miss. You're just
No.
probably going to stiff arm me and throw me out the way.
Russ, I'm gonna make you miss.
No
I'm sorry.
shot.
I'm sorry, Russ.
No,
I hate to break it to you.
no
I'm gonna
shot.
make you miss.
What's that shoe you wear?
16.
Yeah, those aren't going to make anybody miss.
I'm gonna make you miss, and then you just gonna be grabbing at my 16s, which is gonna be crazy.
Yes.
You've played with a lot of great receivers. What is it about George Pickens, and what's it like getting to know him?
Well, I think the best thing about him is he has this natural instinct for the ball. His ability to track the ball, his ability to effortlessly get open in certain spaces. And then the other thing that's interesting is that as I've watched a lot of tape of him, and then obviously seeing him out here, is I don't think he ever gets tackled the first time. I literally think I don't think he gets tackled. Like, I don't think I've seen it. And so my point is that his ability to escape and move and move his body is and make people miss is speaking of making people miss is his ability to do that is really remarkable. And then I think that he's just growing. He's growing. I mean, he's young. He's talented. He wants to be great. And I think that it's also, I feel like part of my responsibility to push him every day to what it's going to take, and that's the part that I love, man. I love being around great guys that want to be great every day. And, I've been around guys like DK, who was he's a monster, a guy who wants to just be great every day. Guys like Tyler Lockett who want to be great every day. Guys like Cortland Sutton who want to be great every day. Doug Baldwin, was in my younger years, but just how detailed. Sidney Rice was a guy who was, near the end of his career, but just he's so smart of the game. He understood it. So I think George has every bit of potential to be one of the best to play this game. And I think that it really takes work, though. It takes obsession. It takes wild obsession. And I think that he's on that track. And it's been cool to watch his growth even from OTAs to now, and just it's been he's I don't know how old he's probably 23 something like that, and just it's pretty cool just to watch that growth in front of our own eyes.
You bring up all these wide receivers, and then I start thinking about like the games we played against each other, and I'm like, we didn't win a lot of those games. Like I remember the Seattle game
In Seattle, or
in Seattle. Crazy game.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Going back and forth. I remember before the game, like, I'm about to spill some tea. 2 players, one of them was AB at the time, and they were late to the game. The other one, my teammate, he was freaking out, like, oh my gosh, I just missed the bus. And they get in the car, they're taking the Uber to the game.
Yeah.
And he's freaking out. And AB's just, calm as ever. AB's like, well, they can't play without me.
For sure. That's very true.
And, like, then was so nonchalant about it, came in a mink coat to the game, walked in regular.
Had 120 probably.
Balled out.
He went nuts.
Balled out.
Yeah, that game was a good game. Funny thing about that game is that was on my birthday. And
Happy birthday.
yeah, that game was on my birthday, and I think it was Sunday night, Monday night, whatever it was. And I was sick as a dog. I was throwing up. I was everywhere. It was one of those things that like I
You
had.
didn't tell me that. I got a sack
I
on
had
you,
the,
too.
I know. Probably yeah. So we'll leave it there. But I had the stomach flu. My stomach was crushing me, bro. I had like 4 IVs that game. And literally I was sitting on the sideline just like, okay, like let me know when it's time to go back out there. And it was back and forth. I know Big Ben and I were going back and forth. It was a good game playing you guys.
Crazy
The crowd was going.
game.
You know what? The thing about the Steelers fans is we travel so well. We traveled just unbelievably well. I remember one point in the game I had to go silent count, which has never had happened in Seattle, in CenturyLink or whatever. And it was like, okay, I gotta go silent count right now. This is the first. But it was just a back and forth game, and I think we won it with like
And then
50
even
seconds to go.
here
50
was
seconds to go.
crazy. You had, I think I messed up on one play, and you broke out and you picked up the first down.
End of the game.
Yeah, it was on a third down, and I just remember that play being like, damn it.
You've lost sleep over that one,
I
haven't you?
have. You think about those moments when you give up contain or like you give up like a inside hole and you're like, oh, this is not going to be well. But yeah.
Do you got a welcome to the NFL moment?
My first game, I'm playing. It's 4th and 14, playing the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. And J.R. Sweezy was our right guard. He was just, he was amazing.
Sweezy.
He was amazing guard for years. But he had, J.R. played NC State with me. He had played defense his whole career. So this is his first NFL game playing right guard. And Darnell beats him. J.R. had battled with him the whole game, but he, this guy's, big time defensive tackle, played in the league for so long, Darnell Dockett. And he beats him on this rep. And I had to stand in there and just, boom, I get crushed. I throw the ball at first down to Charlie Martin. First down, we run Aggie stop. He stops in the middle. Boom, he catches it first down. But like Darnell Dockett is breathing down his breath and everything else. He's like, hey, welcome to the league, playboy, and pushes me down. Kind of puts his hand. And, but I just remember that was the first real hit I took. I was like, whew. You take that hit and it's, takes everything out of you. We got the first down and everything else. But that was like the first moment, and then like I would say like as my rookie year we played in Chicago. There's 2 moments that I felt like I was really ready. Mm-hmm. We played in Chicago. The Chicago Bears defense was great. We were going back and forth this game, and we had we were on the 1-yard line, 99 yards to go. With like 2 minutes to go, take us all the way down. We score, take the lead. They kick a field goal overtime, and we're playing in the game, and I got, we end up winning the game in overtime. That defense for Chicago, they had Urlacher, they had all these guys, Tillman, and we won that game. I was like, okay, I feel like I'm ready. And then I think the following week or 2 weeks later, maybe the week before that, we had played Patriots at home, and we came back from behind and won those. So I was like, okay, it's time, and I just remember those kind of moments. That hit by Darnell Dockett, I'll forever remember. I can still feel it. And those 2 games were like, okay, I feel like it's time for me to be who I want to be and who I'm destined to be.
I got a couple rapid fire questions and then one big question at the end. Let's go rapid fire. Best dressed on the team?
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm guessing E-Rob.
E-Rob?
Not best dressed, but going to try to be best dressed.
Oh, okay.
Worst dressed?
E-Rob.
Best cook on the team?
Best cook on the team?
It's going to be tough.
I'm guessing you.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you.
Oh, no.
You can't cook?
From what I've heard today, that is
Bro,
not
you
true.
cannot.
I can cook. I'm just not the best.
Okay.
Who do you think is the worst?
I'm going to go with Trice.
Corey Trice?
Wow.
I'm just thinking Trice is, he's tall, skinny, he probably doesn't make much food. I don't know. This is my guess.
Oh, person you don't want a room with?
Person I don't want, E-Rob.
Person you do want a room with?
I'm gonna say I feel like TJ. I feel like he'd be really clean. Now he may not talk very much. I don't know if he's
Only thing about TJ is he has a lot of pee breaks. So
oh shit.
you're gonna be dealing with that all day.
Especially in the trobe, it's gonna
Yes.
flush.
Yes,
I don't
Larry's
know.
been having to deal with that a lot. So, last question for rapid. Where is it at? Okay, we'll scratch that. What do you think this team has to do to win a Super Bowl?
I think we have to be. Really efficient on offense. I think that, just to be really honest and blunt, I think that we have a great defense for years here, and just what you guys do, the numbers, the history, the players, all of that. But I think if we can just be efficient on offense, when we get in the red zone, light it up. You know what I mean? Like, just let's score every time. Like, not literally, but that mentality that they fear us when we get in the red zone every time. I think that that's a really key thing. I think we're going to move the ball well. I think we're going to run it well. I think we're going to, make our shots, and I think we're going to hit our layups and all that. But when it's time to get in that red zone and score, we got to be efficient as ever, because we get up with our defense, and you guys rushing the passer.
I like that, too.
It's not a good feeling for a quarterback if we get up early and often. So I think that's going to be really key. I think the other part is this, and I really believe this, is not blinking. You know, like from a fan base standpoint, from a player standpoint, when the game's on the line and we're down 10 and we need it, we're going to get it done. And I just really believe that. I've always believed that. I've always spoke life into that. I believe that the fourth quarters is time to rise. It's time to shine and do what we do best. I've always loved those moments. I loved it when we're down by 5, down by 6. We got to win the game, and they know it too, the other team. And I think that's a key thing that you got to know that, and you got to be that, And we're working on that right now as we sit in Latrobe and how to get there. And I think it's a process, but I think that those two things. I think this efficiency in the red zone, and I think this relentless belief that we're going to get it done. And it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be challenging. It's supposed to be difficult. It's never going to be easy every time. But and that's why we play the game, and that's worth it.
You say that. Now I got follow-up questions. You set me up.
Yeah,
one, with the offense, how's it been like with Arthur Smith?
It's been great, man. I think that we share a lot of the same thoughts, and over the years and experiences and how to attack a defense. And so that's been really awesome. I think that his terminology, his thought process, guys are really working. They're studying like crazy and getting better. So, we as players will have to fulfill it. We have to do what we're called to do. And I think that's the part of the game that we love, and going out there and doing it. So it's been great though, just the time that we've been able to spend, and spend together. And he's super funny, actually. He's really sarcastic, and you're like, I can't read him, but now I've really understood like where he comes from, his thought process, everything else. But more so from ball standpoint, we both love it and obsessed with it. So that's the cool part.
Funnier question, and I'm just poking fun right now. We've heard Broncos country, let's ride.
Yeah.
Where are you staying for the Steelers?
I'm just gonna say here we go. If anything, I'm not
Good man.
There you go.
I'm just
Great
I'm gonna
answer.
stay in pocket, and I think hopefully we get to hold that trophy up, and then we'll go.
And we'll say, here we go again. Hell
here we
yeah.
go.
All right, before we get out of here, Russ, we play a game here with all of our guests. Ask Cam anything. You can ask him whatever you want. Football, life, anything. Nothing's off the table, so go for it.
Yeah, multiple questions is hot. Or
However you want to do it. It's your interpretation of it.
Russ, what you got?
Yeah.
First question is, how many more years are you playing?
This year and 2.
3 more. Okay, I love
Yes.
it. Steelers, you hear that? Okay.
Good man. That's a good man right
Just
there.
checking.
Yeah.
I mean, I came here because a lot of it because of you. Okay, so that's a good question. Second question is,
Yes.
what are you doing after? Are you going to coach? Are you going to be on TV? Are you going to run your own business? What's next?
Oh, man.
I know you've thought about this.
I'm not coaching. But I think I'm having
Why
fun.
do you say it like that?
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
said
coaching.
that.
I'm not coaching. I see the hours they put in.
you
I'm not
said
putting
that.
in those hours,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I love football. I think it's been very good to me. But I don't want to go through what they're going through right
Yeah.
now. It is very demanding. And we give a lot of time. We give up a lot of time for our family. So I need to be a lot more in tune with that once I'm done playing. But I think there's endless possibilities, whether it's, TV, podcasts.
Yeah.
I think it's having fun, getting to hear great stories like this and, exploring that. But I'd like to be able to flash some rings before I retire.
Love
So
that.
that's the goal.
Okay, all right. We need to get at least 2 and 3. Is what you're telling me.
Got to start with 1.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah,
to start
that's true.
Got to start with 1.
Okay. Last 2 questions.
Last 2 questions? Damn,
I
Russ.
love
I-
this.
Damn.
I
I'm
love
just
this.
you brought me on here, and he told me I could ask you questions.
However many
Cashman,
years-
did
All
you hear
right.
this too?
Yes. Oh, he's going to cut this up for socials. Don't
Oh,
worry.
yeah.
He's gonna
If
make
you
look
had
good.
any place that you could live, any place in the world, where would it be?
Oh.
You may have gone there, you may not have gone there, but like you had a dream place that
Dream
you're taking
place.
that you're taking your wifey on, and live there.
Live there.
Live there, not just visit for a week. I'm saying you're gonna go live and pick up your bags, and you're gonna go live there for 3 years.
See, I can't live on the West Coast because I'm just a little bit more on edge, and everybody's way too calm. Everybody's way too calm for me. Probably New York.
New York City, of all the places in the world.
I
You
love
like being that busy. I love it.
I love being that
I could
busy,
live in
and it's like it's a different adventure every single time I go. And we just introduced our kids to New York, and that was an adventure in itself. Yeah. And so, I think New York would probably be my place. I've lived in Atlanta. I'm not going back there.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, last question.
Yes.
Okay, how did you meet your wife?
How did I meet my wife? Wow. Freshman year in the dorms at Ohio State. I stood on the corner.
You stood around the corner.
No, my roommates went in first, and we're like, oh, we got girls in the dorms.
You just creeping like this.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, what's up? And a couple months later, she became my girlfriend. A couple years later, she became my wife.
Yeah, okay. I like the order there.
Well, how'd you meet your wife?
Well, a good friend introduced us, and ever since when we first met.
Who is this good friend that you owe everything to?
I'm not.
You're not going to drop the name?
What? You're not going to drop the
No,
name?
your podcast is way too big. No shot. So anyway, so we get introduced, and ever since I met her, and ever since when I first met her, I was like, she's the one. And I had been single for about a year and a half at that point, and I was like, okay. Like I remember 3 days before I was with my pastor Jude, and I wrote out my non-negotiables. Like, what do I want in a wife? Like, what do I want in a woman? And this and that. And I wrote out, number one was a woman of faith. Number one was a woman who was faithful, just meaning to whatever she does. If it's music, if it's whatever, she loves it. Number three is a woman who's independent, their identity wasn't just around me or anything like that, but just had their own identity, whether if it's volunteer work, if it was singing like C or whatever it was. They had their own identities, things that they loved. Number four was a woman that would love me the way my mom loved my dad when he was on his deathbed. I got to see my mom go through what she went through, and the caring, the touch, and the love, and the fight that my mom had. My dad used to always say to me, son, if I'm not here any longer, she'll forever be able to take care of you, my mom. And so the fifth thing was I wanted a woman who would tilt the room. When she walks in the room, all the furniture slides her way, and she definitely tilts the room. So those are my 5 things. And 3 days later, I met C. And I was like, well, she hits all 5, and that was it, And it's just been the best time.
Were you on Christian Mingle or something?
No, you're not gonna get this out of it. But the best part is that I think the best part about love is that there's this constant just learning of each other, this constant growth, this constant just care, and just God is good, man. He's His grace, His mercy, His love, and all that too. And it's been cool.
Okay, last question right here. Last
really?
Question. Yes.
Really? Okay.
I can sit here all night.
Yeah. Has there ever been a time where she's embarrassed you?
Embarrassed me?
Yes. Or made you feel so uncomfortable, her being the star she is?
No. Funny
or
thing,
put
actually.
you out of your comfort zone?
Never. I don't really get out of my comfort zone. But there was one part that was actually really funny. So it was our first probably month that we were dating, and I won a Super Bowl. People know me. I'm like, okay, whatever. And we're out and about. We're actually at Disneyland, yeah, not Disney World. We're at Disneyland. And I'm sitting there, and me and her are walking, and there's a lot of people and this and that, and everybody's like, oh my God, it's Ciara, it's Ciara. And she didn't embarrass me at all, but it's funny, this story, but she's like, it's Ciara, And all of a sudden, this girl was like, dang, her bodyguard's really hot. and I'm like, bodyguard, we didn't have a bodyguard at the time, and she's talking about me. And Ciara starts laughing. She goes, "Oh, thanks for being my bodyguard today." But yeah, I mean, I think that C is the greatest supporter.
Yeah.
What it's like. When you have a wife that's a supporter, she takes care of everything that you can imagine for your family, but also too, she wants to see you win. I want her to see her win every day. She's on tour right now, and everything else, and she's just been rocking and rolling, it's been cool to watch her success and her continued success because she was successful before I even met her, and just to do life together. I always say sports and music are the two most entertaining things in the world, and we get to live it every day together. And just to have kids, we have 4 beautiful children. I'm trying to get her to have a 5th.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, bro, that's you.
You know, it's a
I'm
little
not
hard,
pushing any more kids on anybody.
It's a little hard on the trope right now to get that done, but maybe when I get back.
Wow. I will say we need to have a Super Bowl, us in it, and she's
Let's
singing.
not just be in it. Let's win it.
Win it.
Win it,
like
Yeah.
and she's in
And
it.
she's I'm with it. Let's do it. I love
That-
that.
that
Halftime
would
show.
be fire. That would
Halftime
be
show would
awesome.
be amazing.
Yeah.
She got some hits.
Yeah.
NFL, make that happen.
Yep.
Let's make
Okay,
that
Roger.
happen. Well, I think Russ has earned this today.
Oh, I
You
got
have-
a hat.
he
know
gets
I
the
love-
hat.
You know I love my
Look
hat.
at that.
Official guy. He's
Look
a
at
This
that.
is official,
Yes.
not just football.
official
Yes.
friend of the show.
Check me out. Not just football. Okay, I may have to wear this tomorrow for practice. You know me, I love my hats. I'm a baseball guy. So
There we go.
make sure you guys
Look at
get your
that.
hats. Not just football. Watch our podcast.
There
My
we
guy,
go.
appreciate you, man.
Cut that, Josh.
Yes.
Josh, cut it up.
Thank you guys again. This is Not Just Football with Cam Heyward and Hayden Walsh, and we just had Russell Wilson on. Thank you so much.
Cam Hayden, thank you guys for having me, man. It's a pleasure. Yep.